I want to call the October 22nd, 2015 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting to order. I've been corrected. We are going to have a pre-meeting. It's October 22nd, 2015 Daviess County Public Improvement Corporation meeting that all you guys didn't know you were coming to attend, but you are. If you would, pray with me and then recite the pledge. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the gifts we receive from you. We ask that you watch over the men and women who serve in our armed forces as well as all of our emergency responders. I ask for wisdom and understanding for this court. Grant us humility in our everyday life and give us the courage to make right decisions for our Daviess County community. We ask this in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Jenny, thank you for reminding me.
Always like to correct you, Judge.
I know you do. I'll get even with you. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Item 1, consideration for approval of the minutes of the meeting number 178 held March 5, 2015.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Commissioners, you had a copy of the minutes of the Daviess County Public Improvement Corporation in your possession for some time. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Item 2, consideration for approval of resolutions 1 and 2, 2015 regarding the Audubon Area Community Services Incorporated Project Bond Series 2015 and authorize the President to sign any and all documents related to same.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, what I'm going to do is ask County Treasurer Jim Hendricks to explain what we're doing and why we're doing this. We also have some folks from Audubon area out in the audience as well as bond counsel here, I guess. Isn't that correct, Jim?
Yes.
So they would be here to answer any of your questions as well. So Mr. Hendricks.
Yes, I'll let the experts explain the details they want to go into, but basically the purpose of the public hearing, this hearing is required because of the financing that is being requested. There's 3 parties, Audubon Area, and then the Daviess County Public Improvement Corporation and Daviess County Fiscal Court. We'll address the issue in the fiscal court meeting also. I think what's important for the public to understand, we did a similar deal with GRAD not too long ago, and in order for them to obtain the financing with the favorable tax features, they need a governmental entity to be a conduit, or they can tell you the official name. Basically, fiscal court will allow them to do this, but fiscal court is not co-signing the bond. They're not standing good for it. They are not lending their credit nor lending their credit rating to this transaction. The court and the Daviess County Public Improvement, if they approve, will simply tell the government that yes, this transaction can go forward. So that would be their only participation in that. And the purpose of the public hearing is to allow any individual that wants to speak regarding this transaction. And so, Judge, you could either ask for public input or members of the party to address the court.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Treasurer. This is more or less $4,340,000 to refund the original bond at a lower interest rate. It's my understanding we're going to save approximately our Audubon area will save about $325,000 over the life of the bond. This is not increasing the term. It's the same maturity date. So it's a pretty good deal. I know we were talking earlier and I made the statement that this was being done because the Audubon area was not tax exempt, and Commissioner Wathen kind of corrected me. It's not that you're not tax exempt, it's that this gives you the ability to issue bonds that are non-taxable. So if you were issuing bonds that were taxable, you may be at 4.5%, 5% non-taxable bonds, and I don't know, and you won't know what the rate is until it's issued, but you may cut that rate in half. there's where the savings comes from. So, first of all, commissioners, anyone up here have a question or comment? We've done this again for grad just back in the spring. The Daviess County Public Improvement Corporation, for those who don't know, is an entity that was made up specifically for this purpose, I think, wasn't it, Claude? Yes, and the 3 commissioners and myself serve on that corporation. No question or comment by the commissioners. Any question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying yes. Did
the representatives have any comment?
I don't want to hear from them if
okay.
they don't. I mean, unless I said something wrong, stay seated. If there's no other comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
3, discussion of other business.
Do we have any other business?
No, sir.
The only other business is to remind folks that we will have another public hearing on November 2nd, 2015 at 10 a.m. in the office of the Judge Executive. So public is welcome, and we will release that to the media at the appropriate time. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
If there's no other business to be brought before the Daviess County Public Improvement Corporation without exception, we are adjourned. And now I will call to order the Daviess County Fiscal Court October 22nd, 2015 meeting. Is that correct, Jenny?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go.
Item 1, consideration for presentation A, Treasurer's Report for September 2015.
Mr. Hendricks.
The cash balance at the end of September is $25,035,577. Of that, the general fund is $8,432,407. First quarter of the new fiscal year, revenues are coming in as anticipated, as we budgeted. Expenses are within the acceptable range. I have nothing further to comment at this time.
Commissioners, any question or comment? This is a report that will go on file. No question or comment. Before we go on, Audubon Area and Bond Council, you don't have to sit through the rest of this. If you want to get up and go, get up and go. Next item.
Item 2, consideration for approval A, minutes of the October 1st, 2015 court meeting.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, you've had a copy of the October 1st minutes in your packet for some time. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Again, Commissioners, you have had a copy of all the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession for some time. Do you have any questions for the Treasurer? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
C, fund transfers.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Treasurer.
Request authority to transfer $470,000 from the general fund to the bond fund for downtown renovation and $500,000 from the general fund to the road fund. These are normal quarterly transfers and have been budgeted. I request approval.
Question or comment by the Commission? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
D, joint city-county resolution consenting to the transfer of control of Time Warner Cable Midwest LLC from Time Warner Cable Incorporated to Charter Communications Incorporated.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. First of all, let me ask, is there anyone here from any of these organizations representing any either or? Okay. Commissioners, let me tell you up front, I will not be voting in the affirmative on this motion. And the reason being is that we've been trying to resolve an issue that we've had with Time Warner and then with Charter for at least 6 months. We haven't even been given the courtesy of a phone call back. And that resolution are trying to resolve a problem, the problem being that the feed that took this meeting live over to City Hall and then was distributed out over TV, over a public access channel, was cut. We no longer have that access. in the spirit of the agreement originally with Time Warner and subsequently would pass the Charter Communications would be that they use the airways in return for what in effect is a monopoly. They would give to the public local governments for use of the public good access to those airways at no cost. That hasn't happened. I was told that we could get our link back for about $10,000 a year. Kind of burns me a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to open it up for discussion from you folks then. Or I might do this. Counselor?
Yes, Judge.
Why don't you tell me what happens, what our rights and what resolution or what kind of pressure we could bring to bear, if any, what we should do.
I guess I won't tell you what you should do. I'm going to tell you what your options are.
What we could do.
Yes.
Okay.
First option is you can do nothing. Second option is you can pass the ordinance. The third option is you can defeat the ordinance or refuse to pass the ordinance. If you refuse to pass the ordinance, Time Warner Cable and Charter Communication, because they have a requirement that they're to get approval from each of the entities where they have franchise agreements for the merger, could argue that it would hold up the merger and sue fiscal court for any damages as a result of the delay in the merger. The real effect is that it probably doesn't have any effect on their merger, but they have to get FCC approval, and FCC approval requires that they have approval from each of the franchising authorities. The second thing you could do is you could pass the ordinance and just agree and say, all right, we're going to pass the ordinance, and then it would be sent on, and their merger would proceed with FCC as it is now. The third thing that you could do is you could pass or delay approval of the ordinance for a period of time, and during that period of time, Time Warner and Charter's merger would still be in front of the SEC, and if there's no action taken either positively or negatively on the resolution within a 90-day period, it's considered to be approved, and they'll go ahead with the approval of Time Warner and Charter's merger.
Okay. Mr. Smith, would you care, I think you probably have a timeline on what happened and what has gone on. Can you share that with us just a little bit? I know the commissioners have probably heard this a time or two, but for the general public, I'm sorry, not for the live public, but for people who are going to see this replay.
Yes, sir. Fiscal court meetings have been on live for as long as we know. So it was quite a surprise when we went off the air live back in May. The city, through OCTC, tried to do an investigation and find out what happened. It appears that sometime in the 90s, early 2000s, that there was a line, a fiber optic line that connected the courthouse to Adelphia. At that time, it was Adelphia Communications, and connected City Hall to Adelphia. It was an unused piece of fiber. So the current IT person that we had at the time spliced those two together inside Adelphia's operations. I would be surprised that he was able to enter their server area without their knowledge. But either way, apparently, according to him, at one point later on, management changed and they removed the splice, and we were off the air at one point. He tracked down the issue. He told them what they had done. They at that point agreed that that connection that was made was within the spirit of the franchise agreement. Unfortunately, apparently in May, they moved their rack system, their computer racks, like we have in our basement. And when they removed the racks and moved them, they took the splice out, and now they refuse to put the splice back on. They claim that it is an unmanaged fiber, and they will not provide us unmanaged fiber. And that goes back to what your point is that they will provide us managed fiber, but they'll charge us $750 a month, I believe.
It's roughly $10,000 a year.
We have other options. We could look at OMU. We could look at some other options to provide fiber connection. We have the Cable Advisory Committee did address this issue. The chair of the advisory committee didn't seem to go anywhere. I personally emailed the person in charge and talked with them on the phone. To this point, we still haven't heard back. As you said, there's been no resolution. We do have a cable advisory meeting in the second week of November, and we will bring the issue up again.
What is the drop dead date on this? No, when does this have to move forward?
I think it may be October 31st. I think it's 120 days from the time that they notified us.
Certainly, if we had known that they were going to do this, get rid of that link, that splice, when this was renegotiated, what, a couple of years ago?
Yes, sir.
We would have made sure that that was addressed then, but as far as we knew, everything was going fine.
Right. The person, you know, as you know, the county doesn't really have a cable person. We contract with OCTC to handle most of our needs. Their comment when all of this came out was that this issue was never brought up by anybody, that what we were doing was incorrect and would be removed. Okay. That everyone assumed it was, that everything that existed before under the old franchise agreement would be the same going forward.
Well, apparently in Time Warner's estimation and Charter Communications estimation, the public good ends at the corporate limits of the city of Owensboro. And it just burns my chops that we cannot get them to sit down at the table, number one. Number two, it really bothers me there's nobody here this afternoon representing either of those. And it also bothers me greatly that the law firm that's supposed to be looking out for all of us has no one here.
Yeah. I think she's in Pikeville, but yeah.
Commissioners?
I have a question for our county attorney. Now you're saying that if we vote no on this, it may
My
stop.
My information is if there is a negative vote and refusing to, we're not consenting. We're just saying it's okay. We're all right. We understand what you're doing. That if you refuse to do that, that they could argue that they have to. Their merger is held up, and then whatever cost or damages that may result in delaying the merger, they could file a suit in federal court. I don't know that would happen, but it did happen. Somerset did that a couple of years ago. They were sued in federal court. They entered into some negotiations, and then they, in the end, approved and went on through that. So that's really about all I know about that part of it. It would seem rather frivolous if what we can say is you're going to sue us because you're going to say that you're delaying our merger, or we're delaying your merger because you're refusing to put in a $3.50, or I don't know, less than $5 splitter.
Which would serve the
That
public.
was there
That's
years.
been there for a number of
Right.
years.
And which would serve the public good.
Right. But Judge, I'm inclined to join you in a no vote, and if they want to come after us, perhaps we'll get their ear at that point.
I'm not sure I'd go that far, but I'd delay it and say.
The Commissioner,
You would recommend?
I would recommend, just so you don't, because you never know where all that's going to be, and you get. I haven't talked to our insurance carrier about what they're willing to do. I just talked to our lawyer who represents us in this. So that, you know, probably the best thing is if you want to get their attention, if you want to do it, is delay. Don't do anything. Don't agree with the merger. Don't pass something that says positively agree, but don't disagree either. Don't refuse to say that the merger should go forward.
Commissioner, the only thing that I could support, I would vote against the motion. The only thing I would support tonight would be a motion to table. If we tabled it, we in effect said we're not going to act on it, and then that perhaps would give Claude some more time to at least try to get a hold of somebody.
Okay. All right, then I'll make a motion to table then.
I'll second.
I have a motion to table, and there is no discussion on that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item.
E, resolution numbers 23 and 24, 2015, regarding the Audubon Area Community Services Incorporated Project Bond Series 2015, and authorize the judge executive to sign any and all documents related to same.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, this just relates to our Public Improvement Corporation. You heard all those issues. Have you thought of anything since that 10 minutes ago? Do you guys want to say anything? Good. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And before you go any further, Commissioner Castlin?
Yes.
I agree with you. I think we would have voted no and made those suckers sue us, but that's all right. All right, next item, Jenny.
It's one way to get their attention.
It is, but
It's a good way to get our attention too.
the issue I've got is putting the taxpayer at unnecessary risk.
Yes.
That's I guess,
Good point.
while sometimes our blood gets up and we want to do things that we really want to do, let the better.
That's why we have Claude up here with us.
That's exactly right. All right, next item.
F, resolution 25, 2015, regarding Homeland Security Funds project application.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. No, Andy, you can't sit over there. You got to come over to the podium just like everybody else.
Please.
Yes, sir. Andy Ball, Davis County Emergency Management. This is for amendment to the resolution for the siren grant to include the verbiage for the KRS 45A, which is for the Kentucky Model Procurement Code. That's all.
Okay.
It's only because that paragraph was missing from the original.
Yes, sir. They
resolution.
came back to all the counties who applied for this and got approved, and they want this verbiage in there.
Okay. So what are you recommending?
Recommending approval for the
Okay,
amendment, sir.
that's what I thought. Commissioners, any question or comment? And this is the Yellington?
Yes, sir.
This is going to replace the siren at Yellington?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any question or comment? Question or comment of the public? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Senator Bowen, I didn't see you come in, but it's nice to have you with us tonight. Next item.
G, agreement with the Kentucky Agricultural Development Board for a $25,000 grant to assess possible flood risk management alternatives along Panther Creek.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Mark, do you want to talk to us a little bit about this? I can tell you folks that we were very pleased. Maybe you don't get to talk at all, Mark. We were very pleased in an agreement that has already been executed with the Corps to do phase 2 of our drainage study. Daviess County Fiscal Court was going to put up how much money, Mark?
We were going to put up 50%, which is the $110,000.
50% of $220,000, $110,000, and we were able to get a grant for $25,000, so it in effect saves $25,000 of our local taxpayer money. But it also, since we allocated $110,000, there's a possibility that it would take more money to complete the study if something ran in, and there would be $25,000 that we could use for any cost overrun. This is something that Daviess County Fiscal Court's been involved in. We set up our advisory committee in 2011, came up with our maintenance plan in 2012, and started moving forward with URS. Is that the
Yes, that's right.
URS on phase 1? They completed it. We started looking at phase 2 at the end of last year and signed an agreement with the Corps to move forward. And we were very pleased that the Corps decided to join in with us. Commissioners, any comment?
I'll just comment. It's nice to see that they've joined the team to help us get this done. It shows that it's important to the agricultural community.
Amen.
So it's important to everybody, but it shows that they know it's important as well.
Okay. Did you have anything you want to say, Mark? I didn't think so. Any other question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item.
H, agreement with St. Joseph's Peace Mission for Children.
Move to approve.
I have a motion second.
Second.
Mr. Hendricks, do you want to talk about this, or do you want me to take it, or I'll let you take it?
Be glad to. We had a meeting recently with St. Joseph, who requested a price increase. They explained that the costs had gone up and that the current $60 that the court pays to house juveniles just wasn't sufficient, and they were comparing it to the $101 or so that they collect from the state, and they actually requested that much of an increase. The court discussed it, and I believe is going to vote on the agreement, which includes a price of $80 per child at this point, and then with the understanding that the court would take under consideration raising that to the requested total amount during our budget process next year. But the discussion for tonight would be to increase the rate from the $60 to the $80, which, if we look at the actual numbers that we spent for the fiscal year ended June 30th, we spent about $131,000. This increase would make that about a $3,500 per month increase.
Okay. We actually contract with Mary Kendall Home, St. Joseph's Peace Mission, as well as the juvenile facility. We don't contract. We send juveniles to Bowling Green to that facility. The fact that we have a local place for these juveniles to be placed saves them from having, number one, to go to Bowling Green. Number two, saves the transportation costs down there. Then when they have to appear in court, they are transported back. So I can tell you, I served on the board of St. Joseph's Peace Mission. They do a really great job. Mary Kendall Home does a great job. And I think part of that cost increase was a result of some of the things that the state started requiring them to do, as well as I believe that we had some juveniles that previously were not sent to them are starting to show up at their place. Claude, do you want to comment?
A little bit, Judge. The law changed, Senate Bill 200 this time, encouraged local governments and courts to use facilities like Mary Kendall Home and the St. Joseph Peace Mission in lieu of using the detention centers like the one in Bowling Green for kids who are charged with status offenses. Status offenses are ones that, if they were adults, would not be an offense at all. Running away from home, not going to school, disobeying parents, being unruly, smoking, tobacco, those kinds of things. We pay, as Mr. Hendricks said, about $100 a day when those kids are in Bowling Green, plus the cost of transportation, plus the cost of the sheriff's office of the deputy to go back and forth and do that. So it saves us a considerable amount, and the judges have been more inclined, and the CDWs who have a contract with us and with St. Joseph, place them at St. Joseph or Mary Kendall Home as opposed to sending them to Bowling Green or other places.
Well, it certainly is. I can understand their need to increase the rates. We increased the rates about 3 years ago. I think we were paying 40. We took it to 60. Certainly, we will look at it in our next budget. It's unfortunate that they brought the request to us after we had already set our fiscal year 15-16 budget, but I think, as the treasurer says, we believe that we can manage that increase in cost. I know that they'll do it. We did place in the agreement that we had with them, we did place a stipulation that the funds paid to the county will be used strictly for juveniles, for which the county's legally responsible. There could be an occasion where youth was here from another county, and
also some who are attached to the state.
And that's correct. So we wanted to make sure we're willing to pay our fair share, but we didn't want to pay more than we had to. Any question or comment, commissioners? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carried. Mr. Public, were you mouthing at me back there? Okay, all right. Next item, Jenny.
Agreement for services with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet regarding the Sergeant Michael C. Cable Memorial Highway designation.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, you remember several weeks ago, Rolling Thunder was here asking us to consider, or we actually passed a resolution regarding naming a section of Highway 142 from mile marker 0 to mile marker 6 after Sergeant Michael Cable. This is just the agreement of services to be performed with the state in the total cost of $552.35. We need to pass that so we can get moving with it. Question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
J, contract with Magnum Welding to repair transfer station trailer floor.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. As you know, this is what's called a walking trailer. It's used to haul trash from the transfer station out to the landfill. On occasion, we have to rebuild those trailers. We've gotten 2 bids. We tried to get 3 quotes. Since this is under $20,000, we're allowed to get quotes. Magnum Welding is the one, I think, David, that generally does that work. Their price of $12,310.80 was the lowest quote, and Robbie Hawker recommends that we move forward with it. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
K, contract with Patrick Environmental Services LLC to prepare Title V NSPS and NESHAP reports for the West Davis County landfill, and authorize the judge executive to sign any and all documents related to same.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. David, you want to explain this one?
Yes, this has to do with our infamous gas system, our methane. As has been pointed out, our landfill creates methane, and Title V is the Clean Air Act, and by federal law we have to monitor the methane that we burn off. So we keep a record of the data and send it, and then this company, we need to sign a contract so that they will fill out all the different reports to make sure we ensure compliance with the federal government.
This is 2 reports, January 1 and July 1, or January 31 and July 31.
Yes.
And we do this every year.
Every year we do this.
Question or comment by the commission? What was the cost of the contract, David?
$11,200.
$11,200.
Oh, wait a minute. That's
Oh,
wrong.
no, not that.
Okay.
$4,500.
$4,500. Okay. Any question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
L, contract with Bryan Engineering to provide CQA services for West Davis County Landfill Unit 6 expansion, and to authorize the judge executive to sign any and all documents related to same.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. David?
Yes, our residual landfill, which we also call our CD&D landfill, we are getting to the point of getting it finished. And the last thing we have to do to finish it is to put in the clay liner, and to do that the state requires that we have a third party certify and do tests to make sure that we meet the permeability requirements. So we got 2 quotes, and Bryan Engineering was the low quote.
And the quote is?
$11,200.
Okay, and I'm pretty pleased to have Bryan Engineering. It's a local engineering firm. They did a lot of work back years ago on the landfill, and we were able to go back to them, and they very graciously made copies of all the information that Davis County Fiscal Court had paid them for, and they presented it to us. And I'm very pleased that they came in substantially lower than the next lowest bidder. So it's nice to have those guys back working for us again. Any question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
M, contract with Weaver Consultants Group to provide CQA services for the West Davis County Landfill Unit 5 gas well dewatering system and new gas well construction, and to authorize the judge executive to sign any and all documents related to same.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Don, please don't write another article about the gas wells out there. David.
Yes. This actually timing, it should have been approved at our last meeting when we approved the bids, because this went along with it. Unfortunately, we did not have the contract in time to put on the agenda. This goes in with the current construction that we're doing. We have to have a third party to ensure that all of the wells and all of the work is being done to the specifications that we put out in bid documents. And this, I believe when we started this process, I had mentioned that this would be a requirement, and this amount is $26,000.
Question or comment by the commission? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
N, award bid number 47, 2015, one new or used fifth wheel road tractor for the transfer station.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge, the fiscal court received 7 bids concerning bid number 47, 2015. The bid of Truck Centers Incorporated is the best evaluated bid for a new vehicle, meeting all specifications without exception. Please note that we did not recommend the 2 lowest bids. The lowest bid is a used vehicle with exceptions that are far outside of our specifications and were found to be unacceptable to the county. The next highest is a 2016 Freightliner that was revealed to have questionable placement of several items that would force the county to purchase additional modifications and incur frequent replacements, given the environment that it would be used in, which we believe closes the $1,067 differential between it and the next highest bid, which is a 2016 Western Star, which upon inspection has no exceptions to the bid documentation and is suitable for the waste environment we'll be using it in. Therefore, it is our recommendation to award Truck Centers Incorporated bid number 47, 2015 for a 2016 Western Star 4700 in the amount of $94,600.
And that amount has been, the actual amount was $101,600. We were given a $7,000 credit for the trade-in.
That is correct.
Okay. Commissioners, just for your consideration, if you notice the 2016 Western Star 4700, it is a 2016 model for $94,600. There is a 2017 Western Star 4700, which is a 2017. That's the newest model, the latest model, for $95,850. That's a $1,200 difference between the 2016 model and the 2017 model. Doesn't make any difference to me, but I'm not sure that we shouldn't consider spending an extra $1,200 and getting a 2017 truck. What's your pleasure?
I have a question. Do you think, how much do you have an idea from experience, or have you done this enough to know if there would be, that it would affect the trade-in? Because either way, in about 5 years, we're going to be trading this vehicle in. Do you think in the long run it would affect the trade-in?
Probably not.
We'll probably put so many miles on it, we'll wear it out.
It's true. In the environment that we run it in, they're all about the same quality at the end of their expected life.
And both of them are new vehicles. They do not have any miles on them.
It's true. There's no material difference that we can find, but it's your prerogative.
Commissioners, I get the sense that we are going to buy the 2016 Western Star. Is that correct?
Do we have to amend this to?
You would have to amend it if we were going to buy the 2017 because of the motion. Well, I'm saying no, because we just specify what we're going to buy, I think. Isn't that right, Claude? It was, we're going to buy one new or used.
Right. So you need to specify which one.
Yeah, we just need to specify which one.
When we put out the bids, did we not specify what year we wanted?
No, we only specify new or used. That way we can get a like new that some corporations will consider used, but no specification on year.
I see. I don't have any problem with going with the newer one for the $1,200 if that's the only difference.
Yeah, I don't either. Not for $1,200. I think it's kind of a.
Did you say go with the newest one?
2017.
Okay. I couldn't. Yeah.
Is that the consensus up here?
So I'll make a motion that we amend Is that what we do or no?
No, we
But
just specify.
We just specify.
Yeah, we just specify that that's the one we want to buy, and then we will vote on the motion. The motion was to buy a new or used.
Got you.
Now, in the side of the motion, we'll specify which one we're gonna buy, so.
All right.
The recommendation was to buy the 2016. Now you're
All
going
right.
to say we're going to buy
We're
the
gonna recommend
2017.
2017. So, is that the consensus I get?
Yes.
Yes.
Any question or comment by the public? Then, the consensus is that we would buy the 2017 vehicle as opposed to the 2016. Is that correct, commissioners?
Yes.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
O, award bid number 48, 2015, one new robotic total station positioning system for the landfill.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge.
I hope this one isn't as confusing.
I hope so too. The fiscal court received 6 bids concerning bid number 48, 2015. You'll notice that the vendors chose to bid the total station in 2 ways: the robotic total station unit only and the complete package, which includes the data collector, software, and all respective poles and cradles necessary to operate the equipment. The bid of Hayes Instrument Company for the complete package is the lowest and best evaluated bid, meeting all specifications without exception. It is our recommendation to award bid number 48, 2015 to Hayes Instrument Company for the TopCon PS-103A and complete package in the amount of $25,481.77. It should be noted that in the last year, our project manager at the landfill has performed over 116 man-hours of in-house surveying for the county with equipment that requires multiple employees to operate. This would have cost the county roughly $14,000 if we had contracted it. During cell construction, we expect our project manager to incur over 4 to 5 times this amount of man-hours, meaning that we expect this complete package to pay for itself during construction of the first cell.
Question or comment?
I had a question, and it would pay for itself in what length of time did you say?
Just over a year.
Thank you.
Our staff also recommended, the people that will be using this recommended the total package.
Yes, our project manager has over 42 years of surveying expertise. He recommends the complete package.
I know I hate to ask an engineer this simple question, but simply, can you tell the folks what this is?
It allows, this robotic unit allows one person to basically do the survey versus 2 or 3. It's a machine that sets up by itself, and then the surveyor can go out with the data collection and take shots, and the machine basically follows him around while he takes survey level accurate shots.
This is where you've seen along roadways in the past 2 or 3 people walking with a big tall pole and somebody with a little instrument taking a look at it and somebody else writing down all the numbers. This actually becomes a digital operation, so it's much more accurate.
In the last several years, it's got to the point where it's accurate enough for one person to use as a level survey grade.
Any other question or comment, commissioners? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Be advertised for the following bids. Bid number 50, 2015, 2 chassis mount animal transport units for animal control. 51, 2015, county clerk's office renovation furniture. 5215, county clerk's office renovation electronic querying system.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second, commissioners. This is just permission to advertise for these items. The 2 chassis mount animal transport units are for trucks that we have already purchased. This is to make them more efficient. The county clerk's office renovation, this is for the furniture, and the electronic queuing system is for the operation. Those were separate items from the original renovation bid. So we're gonna go out, and we in effect are helping the clerk out there by placing these ads for him. Any question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Q, hire the following as utility laborers subject to successful completion of pre-employment screenings. Ryan Mason, effective October 26, 15. Danny Roberts, effective December 7th, 2015.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second, commissioners. As you are very aware, over the years we've had a hard time keeping part-time help at the Parks Department. We have increased the wages that we pay those folks. It still hasn't helped. So one of the things that we've decided to do is look at hiring some full-time folks who will be eligible for benefits, hoping that we will be able to keep them a longer time. They will be assigned to the Parks Department for 8 months, 9 months out of the year. Then they will come in-house to the Operations Center. They are called utility workers because that's exactly what they will be doing. They will be doing a multitude of jobs in various departments. We think that the 2 full-time might be equivalent to as many as 5 or 6 part-time, simply because they're going to get used to doing that job. It will be a kind of a repetitive job, and quite honestly, we have spent so much time replacing workers through the summer that we never got much work out of the part-time help anyway. We've looked at it. We think it'll work. At least we're going to give it a try. We've got to do something. Any question or comment?
A question?
Yes.
Excuse me. Do they have their CDL license, or was we gonna?
They will be required to have a CDL license when we hire them, or acquire that license within 6 months. That means that they could drive a transfer station truck if necessary. They could push snow in the wintertime if necessary. So they truly will be utility workers and all around in all the departments. Yes, sir.
I just mentioned I participated in the interviews, and one of these gentlemen has a CDL and the other one doesn't.
Okay. Well, that's what was important to me, that when you're utilizing them in the operations, that they could drive that truck for snow removal and other, as well as other things.
Any other question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
3, consideration for appointment A, Chuck Kaufman to DC Sweep with a term of 10/22/2015 to 5/1/2017.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Kaufman is replacing Sarah Caslin, who served a partial term. I am certain that Sarah did an excellent job, didn't she, Dad?
Absolutely.
I thought she did. We're going to miss her. She's moved out of our community all the way up to northern Kentucky.
She has.
I know that Mr. Kaufman will do an equally good job. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
4 ordinances. A, first reading of 4-2015, an ordinance amending section 30.31C, membership fees for certified volunteer fire departments, and permitting the sheriff to charge and retain a fee of 1.5% of the membership charges or subscriber fees collected.
Commissioners, this is a first reading, so we don't need a motion or a second. Mr. Treasurer, are you prepared to tell us why we are doing this? What precipitated this ordinance?
Subject to the county attorney correcting me, yes. I believe that the state passed a law maybe in 2012 that I think was vague. We looked at it before and didn't really think we had to take an action. The auditors kind of stated that to another department that we actually need to have a resolution on file approving the fee that they're collecting. So we are engaging in this exercise to comply with that request.
Okay. The fee of 1.5% came from, that's the minimum fee that any department or any taxing authority or percentage that we pay the sheriff to collect fees, that's the minimum that we have in this county. The minimum could be 1%, but the minimum right now is 1.5%, and not wanting to be confusing or as little as confusing as we can be, not charge 1.5%. We do have some agencies that pay up to 4.25%. I think that's the maximum. I did run this by the fire chief, Dwayne Smethers, who was supposed to have talked to all the the volunteer chiefs. Hope they did. I received no comment, other than they said they understood why. They would rather not, but they understood why. Any question or comment? There being any question or comment by the public? Okay. Next item, Jenny.
B, second reading of 921.670, 2015, an ordinance amending the zoning classification of a 2.096 acre tract located at 11351 and 11397 U.S. Highway 431 from AU Urban Agriculture to B4 General Business, application filed by Mark Malloy.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. On October the 1st, I believe it was, we held the first reading of this ordinance. At that time, we allowed the folks who had testified at the planning and zoning hearing to come forward and give their comments. The fiscal court has taken those comments, reviewed this as to, one of the things that we're tasked to do is to, in order to overturn a finding by planning and zoning, we have to find within the record our own finding of fact or something that would be different. Is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay.
And that would support the the difference in the court's position and the planning and zoning.
Yes. It's also my understanding to change the planning and zoning's recommendation requires a majority of the court, not a majority of the vote, but at least 3 of the court members must vote in favor.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to ask the county attorney, as you folks who are out here and have an interest in this know, I was out of town at my wife's brother's funeral, so I did not get to hear the testimony brought before this body. I can assure you that I have reviewed the DVD of that meeting many, many times, watched it on TV. I'm what's called a political junkie. I like to know everything that's going on. As a matter of fact, Commissioner Castleton's come into my office twice in the last 2 days and said, "Are you looking at it again?" And I said, yes, and I have all the notes and all their names and what their reasoning behind this was. Do you see any issue with me voting on this, not having attended the other?
I do not, Judge. If you've reviewed those, and that's the whole purpose.
Okay.
Of this, to be there.
Okay. What we will do is call for a vote on the ordinance. We always prepare an ordinance in the affirmative. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll pass, but we prepare it in that manner. I'll call for a vote. It would take at least 3 votes to uphold the finding of planning and zoning, or 3 votes to overturn. Okay.
Change it.
Is there any question or comment by the commission? I'm not going to ask for question or comment by the public because you folks who are interested in this had the opportunity at the last meeting. All those in favor of this ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next item.
5, consideration for discussion, A, other business to be brought before the Daviess County Fiscal Court. First one is approval to move forward with a property maintenance ordinance revision.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioner Castlin, you were gracious enough to serve as the chair of the Property Maintenance Committee and to kind of watch out for the interest of not only the citizens but all the folks, including Fiscal Court. Can you kind of tell us where we're going with this?
I will. The Property Maintenance Ordinance Advisory Review Committee has worked diligently since being appointed back in April, I believe, to recommend specific changes to our current ordinance. Excuse me, I don't normally do this, but I did write out some comments because I wanted to make sure that I came close to what I wanted to say.
And it's also because your memory's not very good and you kind of forget where you're going.
Well, it's not like yours. It's
Okay.
not like that trap you say
right.
you have. So to recommend specific changes to our current ordinance, and for the most part, it is a rewrite of the ordinance. The committee has an ordinance that we believe our community will support. We heard at several meetings a number of citizens express deep frustration to the condition of their neighbors' properties and ask us for help. We also heard from a citizen who, while he was sympathetic with those concerns, asked that we not go too far and to protect our neighbors who farm, to protect their interests. as chair of this committee, I believe each of us would say that we have done that. There was give and take on both sides, and there were lots of edits as we had our discussion. And I want to personally thank the members who served on the committee. And I have the wrong list in front of me. Mr. Butch Crampy, Keith Stiff, Carl Worthington. Am I missing somebody? Myself as chair. And then we had Claude and Jenny and Mark, and I'm not sure who else.
Mike Hamilton.
Mike Hamilton.
Who else?
Guy from George, what's his name from the West?
George Shadler. Thank you. George was a latecomer, but all of them were very active in their roles, and I wanted to thank each of them for their assistance on this. And some of the farmers might have been here tonight, but they're out harvesting before the rains come, or replanting, maybe into that stage already. But the bottom line is, I think we have an ordinance. You all came to one of our meetings and reviewed it, kind of like a work session, and shared your concerns and questions that you had, and I believe in a conversation that you and I had, and I like what you suggested, that we might put this on rather than rushing into passing this or considering it and passing it in the next couple of weeks or next couple of meetings as we move into the holiday, Thanksgiving and Christmas season, that we would actually put it on our website and allow the public ample opportunity to review it and to give us feedback, because just as we did with the animal control ordinance rewrite, we want a ordinance that the community will embrace and not one that is being forced upon them. And I think we have that, but to give the public an opportunity to review it before we hear it for a vote, I think would be prudent.
It would be, I think, it'd be my intention that we have this placed on our website so anybody can review it electronically, as well as anyone who would not, and I'm assuming you'll write an article on his recommendation, Don, and anyone who doesn't have access could come into our office and get a hard copy. We would be happy to print that out for them. You're right, we took our time doing the animal control ordinance. We listened, we had public input. We actually changed some things as a result of that public input. We had the public at several of your meetings, not as many public folks as we would like, but still, I think one meeting you had about 20 people show up.
Right.
And they certainly gave some suggestions. The goal of this ordinance from the very beginning was to do no harm to agriculture, but also realize that we are becoming more urban and suburban in nature. What you do on a 100-acre plot of ground is one thing. What you do on a half-acre lot in a subdivision is another. What you do under your neighbor's bedroom window is another issue. So we are taking the attitude that we're certainly willing to listen to any suggestions that anyone might have. This is not our ordinance. We want this to be the citizens, the public's ordinance. The only way it becomes your ordinance is for you to take ownership and come in and say, hey, here are the consequences if you do this. And I would say that your group did take a road trip through Daviess County, through several areas of the community, looking at different issues and how they might apply or not apply.
We probably visited in excess of 20 properties that were compiled. A list was compiled by various individuals on that committee.
Right.
To see both how, whether or not this is something our rewrite would properly address it, and in some cases, is this something that we might be addressing that we don't want to address?
Right.
So,
okay. So your recommendation is that we move forward, take the draft that you have,
Yes.
put that draft on the website, make it available to the public, take public comment, let's say till the 1st of January, see what happens.
Right.
Perhaps have another public meeting where people can come in after they've had time to look at it, digest it. Then my timeline or my goal would be to have it in place by the 1st of February.
Right.
Would that be reasonable?
I think it's very reasonable.
Okay. Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So we're going to move forward. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Approval to distribute the 2% hotel motel excess funds.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Now, Commissioner Wathen, when we came out, you said those people are here because it's a 4 o'clock meeting, and I told you it was because they thought they were going to get some money. And they waited through this whole meeting. Look at them, just very patiently. Just a couple comments. First of all, many of you know that there is a provision in the Kentucky Revised Statutes for a hotel motel tax to be placed upon hotel motel rooms. The first 3% hotel motel tax goes to the operation of a Convention and Visitors Bureau. And as many of you have followed in the newspaper over the past year and a half, we have seen those receipts grow and grow and grow. Shannon Wetzel, our director, is out there. Commissioner Wathen serves on that board. It's really great to see the CVB finally have enough money to do the things that we need to do. There is a 1% that can be placed on hotels and motels that would go to offset the cost of operation of a Convention and Visitors Bureau. I don't know of any Convention and Visitor Bureaus of a convention center. I don't know of any convention centers in the United States that make money. If there are, I wish they'd come and tell us how they make money. But the 1% can go toward offsetting the cost of operation. And in effect, what it does, if we didn't have that 1%, that 1% cost are approximately $300,000, Jim, $250,000, somewhere in that range, would actually come out of the public's pocket, because ultimately it's a public facility and ultimately the public is responsible for that deficit. So this places the deficit not on our local citizens' back, but upon the backs or out of the pocketbooks of those folks who come to our community. And we built those things to attract them here, so why shouldn't they pay for it? That's the way I see it. There's also a 2% tax that can be put on for capital projects prior to this year, for capital projects, bonding capital projects for convention centers, arts organizations, those kinds of things, and it's narrowly defined. It has to be in the downtown core, central business district downtown. Many of you will remember when we first took office back in 2011, we had about $1 million in that fund, and that $1 million was locked up and growing. We could not use it for anything. As a matter of fact, it just sat there. We talked with the city, we talked with the River Park Center, and we agreed to put $1 million up if the River Park could raise $1 million and the city would take $2 million and pay off the debt to the River Park Center. And we did it. And it was very, I can tell you that was, it removed a dark cloud, I think, that was over the head of the River Park Center. All right, fast forward, still could only be used for bonded indebtedness, and we used it there to pay off the bond. We couldn't get the money unlocked. So we started talking to our local delegation to Frankfurt. Senator Bowen is here tonight, Tommy Thompson, Suzanne Miles, and Suzanne wanted to be here, but she's at Impact 100, or that's where you guys are going to go, and she's at some other things in Jim Glenn. And we said, look, we have a pile of money that the statute says the only way you can use the money is to pass a bond. So we've got to spend interest and bond cost to get the money out into the community. Why do we have to go through that when really what we're trying to do is follow the statute, use those funds for the things that the statute says that we have to use them. Through a lot of hard work in the House from Tommy Thompson, and I'm going to ask Senator Bowen to come up here in a little bit because I want us all to give him kudos for his hard work. We got House Bill 202 passed. Now, specifically, I think it applies to Owensboro and Daviess County. And I don't care if it applied to nobody else as long as we got to use the money. And Joe might pass some of the wranglings that he had to do in the Senate to get that to happen. In reality, what it does is it makes some of that money available for us to use to fund, in our case, fund capital projects for the arts organizations in the Central Business District. And I can think of no better way to use that money than to reinvest it in the organizations that say people are flocking to our city because we're here. We have such good programs. And I'm going to tell you, I was at the symphony at the River Park Center Saturday night. And Dan, I went home and I tried to do some of those tricks, and Judy laughed at me, and I'm never going to try them again. So what I'm going to do tonight, and I've talked with the commissioners, and I've passed this around, and what I'm proposing, commissioners, is that we award some of that money tonight. Now, when I say that we're going to award it, I'm not going to write you a check. These will be like reimbursement grants that we so often have. So we're going to tell you, we're going to grant you X number of dollars. You get the work done and you submit the bill to us, we will reimburse you for that. Someone might say, well, we can't do that. We need the money up front. Well, I can't imagine that what did you call it, Jim? A letter of credit in effect from Daviess County Fiscal Court saying once the work's completed, we're going to write a check, wouldn't be sufficient. If it's not, come and see me. We'll work something else out. I want to go first to the many of you remember back at the State of the County, we set aside $50,000 in this fiscal year for what we called silo busting in the arts and tourism area. And we said that what we were trying to do was get our arts groups to work together. And Dean Dennis and Roxy Witt got together along with many of you organizations out here and brought to us that first proposal, which was OwensboroTicket.com, and we granted $40,000. We had $10,000 left. I had another request for some of that money through the River Park Center. This is through the River Park Center by the Owensboro Dance Theater, and it's for a new cyclorama. It's a large concave curtain positioned at the back of the stage. Owensboro Dance Theater uses it. A lot of the folks use it. As a matter of fact, Dan, I think, yeah, it was being used, and I could see there were places that were torn or didn't exactly work right. It's time to replace. How old is it, Roxy? How old? It's time to replace it. So I'm going to propose that the court grant $5,000 of the $10,000 left to the River Park Center for the new cyclorama. The Owensboro Dance Theater made the request as they spend $2,700 annually renting a cyclorama. There are 12 other organizations that use the River Park Center, and they must rent one as well. Both the River Park Center and Symphony Orchestra provided letters of support for this project. So I don't know that we will vote on those. I think what I will do is read off each of these proposals and then allow you folks to comment if you wish. At the end, I will ask the senator for comment and the arts organizations as well. Any comment on that first proposal? Second proposal, the River Park Center, they need to upgrade the existing lighting system that's outdated and inefficient and save on utility costs. To phase 1 and phase 2 to replace the original lighting system is going to cost $50,000. I think, Roxy, we are going to match $25,000. They're going to put $25,000 in it, so they will get a new lighting system. Any question or comment. And if you have questions, we certainly can bring that organization up. The next item is Owensboro Museum of Fine Arts. I'm requesting money to replace the failing HVAC components required to maintain the climate control conditions to preserve the collection. That consists of an evaporator coil replacement of $17,800, roughly, a rooftop condensing unit, $42,000, and to replace 2 humidifiers for the first floor in the Smith House of $9,000. That's a grant of $68,849. One of the things that I looked at, there were other requests. I happen to know a little bit about climate control, and you don't want to do this piecemeal. It's best if you replace it as a system. You get better efficiency, it works better, and you place the responsibility on a single contractor. Any question? Owensboro Symphony Orchestra to replace the keyboard that's become inoperable, and it is used in every performance, and a music library system protect their music collection, which is worth over $300,000. The total grant is $23,691. Any questions? The next one would be the Theater Workshop of Owensboro. Make roof repairs on the historic Empress Theater to ensure building integrity. If you got a leaking roof, you don't want to do anything inside, do you, folks? That grant is $50,000. Any questions? Last but not least, Owensboro Museum of Science and History to increase exposure with a new marquee and paint the unpainted west side of the building. A total grant of $36,000. Those are, any question? Those are my recommendations to the commission. That grant will total roughly $200,000, $203,000. There are requirements that we keep 2 years of reserve, debt service reserve. We have some other monies that are promised out of that fund. We wanted to make sure that our first grant, just like our silo busting was made a big splash, that this first grant got some of this money into the community. Again, I want to take the opportunity to thank Senator Bowen and our Frankfurt delegation for unlocking these funds. Commissioners, any question or comment?
I just want to join you in thanking Senator Bowen for his work. I know I was in there when you first presented the idea to him, and he was very receptive to trying to help us out. Not he didn't make us any promises. He wasn't sure he could deliver, but thank you, Jim.
Commissioners?
I just want to make comment that all these projects were in desperate need as we looked at each of those, and we're glad to be able to support these, have the money to support them.
I would also say, Commissioner, that these are capital projects. They're projects that need to be done. These are not operational monies. I'd also tell the public that's watching, on the replay, of course, that quite frankly, if I could take this money and put it into Daviess County Fiscal Court's general fund, I'd do it in a heartbeat, and we'd use it for all the citizens in this community. But that's not why it was there. That's not what the state legislature saw fit. But again, we're not spending money to pay interest or bond costs, so I'm very thankful. Yes, sir.
I don't want to be negative, but I just want to make a statement to make sure that it's not implied that we will be doing this same type of thing on a continuous basis. There are some other things that could be done with that money that have been debated amongst us, but we're glad to do what we're doing, and I think it's going to help a whole lot of folks get a lot done. But I want to make sure it's not implied that this is the role that we're going to play with this money. So I just want to mention that.
I think that what you were saying is this is not the Christmas tree out back that you go pluck dollars off.
It's open your gifts now and enjoy them.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
There you go. Before I ask any of the arts organizations for comment, Senator, would you care to come up and make a comment? Because again, we certainly are in your debt because I know how hard you worked to get this through the Senate.
Well, Judge and Commissioners and members of the community, like most things in Frankfort, nothing is ever easy. And, you know, as much as you strategize to get these types of things accomplished, this type of legislation passed, there's always obstacles that seem to pop up at the last minute. And the judge did a great job in describing how this all works. But in order to free this money up, we obviously had to have legislation to do it. And it passed out of the House to begin with, and that came with very little pushback from anyone. But by the time it got to the Senate, people across the Commonwealth were more aware of what was going on, and all of a sudden, for some strange reason, the Hotel Association and others began to really push back on this. And so when it came to my committee, or when it came to the Senate, we were getting a lot of feedback, and a lot of it was negative. And so the chairman of the Appropriations and Revenue Committee came to me, and he said, Joe, this doesn't look too good. Said this bill, while the way you explained it, was going to be pretty painless for everybody and is good legislation. We're getting all this pushback from four corners of the state. So we had to step back a minute and recreate our strategy on this. So what we did, quite frankly, just to tell you how things work up there, you have to be creative at times. So we amended the legislation to make it specific to this community. So nobody else could really find fault with it, because the only community across the state that it was going to apply to was Owensboro. And so everybody else was happy across the state, didn't cause any consternation to them. But at the end of the day, we got what we wanted. And so we were able to craft it as such. And I would suggest to you that that's not the first time that we have used that method of creativity to get things that help and enhance our community. So we were glad to do it, and here's the results. So congratulations. Thank you, Judge. Yeah. Thank you, Commissioners.
Again, Senator, I want to thank you. I would say this, that Daviess County Fiscal Court and the City of Owensboro have been instrumental in having several pieces of legislation pass through the House and the Senate, and it's all because of our representatives in the House and the Senate always listening. Every time I've called the Senator, what can I do? I'll come by. When can we meet? We're even working on some issues right now that could be a little more controversial. Who knows? But you know, the senator is right. There were so many rumors flying around out there. One organization that opposed it did not say that this already existed. The law already exists. The tax is already there. We're not going to tax anymore. But they implied that and got a lot of folks upset. Secondly, any of you that have been to Louisville or Lexington or Las Vegas or San Francisco will find that you pay a heck of a lot more than 6% hotel motel tax. I mean, they recognize if you rent a car, when you fly out of their airport, it's the folks that are using those facilities that pay that tax, and the tax is reinvested trying to attract them into the community. All right. Anybody want to come up from the arts organization, or are you like my daddy taught me, when you made the sale and got your money, shut up and get out? Okay.
I recognize that as an invitation not to speak, yeah. Judge, but I do want to say on behalf of River Park Center how graciously we appreciate, how much we appreciate you all working to get this law passed, and how much it's going to mean for us and our resident user groups. And so we thank you, as well as Senator Bowen, for all your efforts. It means a great deal. Thank you.
You know, when we were first sworn in, I don't know if you folks remember, we had a request to use this money, and we looked and we looked and we tried and we cried and we did everything, but there was just no way to do it. And I want to say kudos to David Smith, our governmental affairs guy, who brought the idea to me to begin with. So, David, thank you. Anyone? Yes, come on, Jeff.
Wouldn't be the first time she stepped in.
Yeah, won't be the last either, I guarantee you.
Just real quick, in the travels that I've done, I just want to commend Fiscal Court for their belief in the arts. For a town of 54,000 to have performing acting groups, a performing arts center that rivals any in the state, a fine arts museum, and a symphony, once again, that's exceptional. It really does bode well for our community. It helps bring people to the community. They want to be. I ran into a person just the other day who had the opportunity to retire anywhere in the United States, had been all over the United States, and he chose Owensboro, Kentucky to retire in. And I think that says a lot, and you all's belief in the arts makes a big difference. And for the rest of them, I just want to say thank you for your foresight.
Thank you. Jim, if you want to come up, and then Dean.
On behalf of the Board of Directors of the museum and the staff, we'd like to thank Senator Bowen, you, Judge Executive, and the Commission for getting this legislation through, and thank you for granting us the money. It will be well used. As you're probably aware, we are in dire need of a marquee.
Right.
The thing we had, I think, dates back to the 1930s. And, you know, it will allow us to really kind of promote future events, hopefully bring additional people in.
Okay.
And the west wall will be part of an overall plan that we have to refurbish the entire outside of the building. We are looking at the possibility of getting all the flaking paint, getting the entire building power washed and repainted. So this will go a long way into helping get that achieved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Come ahead, Dean. I've heard your spiel for the last 5 years.
And as you end most of our meetings,
Get out.
Thank you for the opportunity to say just a few brief words here and to express our appreciation to the court and to express our appreciation to the legislative delegation, in particular Senator Bowen, for all the work that was done in getting us to this point and being able to have these funds to benefit the community through the organizations that all of us, our volunteers, represent. Needless to say, the grant that you've given the Fine Art Museum is a much needed thing. It'll be very, very beneficial to us in preserving the collection that we have, which, as you know, is one of the finest collections in the state of Kentucky, if not around this entire country. But I want to also express appreciation to our community, because without their support, without the support of all the individuals who support all of these different organizations, none of them would exist. So as much as we appreciate what you all have done, we greatly appreciate what our community has done. So with that, I'll get out.
Good. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Lisa Mingus-Tullis. I am chair of the Board of Directors of Theater Workshop of Owensboro. On behalf of Todd Reynolds, our executive director, our board of directors, our staff, and our 400+ volunteers, I want to thank you, Fiscal Court, for granting us the money. It will be well used. It was well needed. Our vision is to educate, inspire, and transform our community through the theatrical arts. And you've just helped us continue to meet that mission. So thank you very much.
Welcome.
Good evening, and I'm Dan Griffith with the Owensboro Symphony.
Can you climb those ropes like that lady could?
I did it before you got there. Well, we gratefully appreciate what you all have done for us. We can play on now. Our piano was damaged at Concert on the Lawn out on Kentucky Wesleyan College, a pretty old instrument, and it needed to be replaced. And it's one that we use throughout the community in our events, and many reap the benefits of that piano. One of the other things that you have contributed to is the library of the orchestra. Much like the art, the collection that we have there is very valuable, and it has been stored over the years very poorly. So the new system that will be installed will house each one of those pieces that we have and protected from fire and water damage and things of that nature. It is the final project within the academy that had not been funded, and so it's great to have Fiscal Court making that final contribution to the academy, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least,
Joy Johnson from the Owensboro Dance Theater, and on behalf of our board of directors, our staff, our organization, we want to thank you. We want to thank Senator Bowen for the opportunity for having a cyclorama or a psych that we use and has spent $15,000 the last 5 years on renting one, so for 3 times a year. So we appreciate it, realizing that the arts are very important to our community. Thank you.
okay. You're welcome. I don't see anyone else that wants to say anything, do I? Yes, sir? This is about the arts. Well, would you wait just a second? We're not quite finished. Yeah, we'll give you, I think you want to talk here in just a second. So, commissioners, if there's no other question, we haven't voted yet, have we?
We have not.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Now, all of you get out. Okay. Okay, Jenny.
B, public comments.
Okay, public comment. This is time during which we ask anyone in the audience to come forward, identify yourself. You're welcome to talk on anything other than what was on the agenda. Sir, I will let you up here now. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I'm William Bean. I'm representing people up here on Kingfisher Lake. We've been up here before on trying to get this problem solved. And Senator Bowen, I appreciate what you've been getting for us. And that you came tonight, because I've got some pictures I'd like for you to see and see what's been going on up there. When they came back here,
excuse me,
said they were going to
ask them that you shut the door.
Would you? Yeah, shut the door.
They said they were going to get this mess cleaned up. They said they were going to pay to have a specialist come in and kill all these willows and then remove them and all this. Well, they came up here on September the 4th with this supposedly people that knew how to do this spraying. Well, it has not killed it. Still got trees growing up there. Some of them 3 feet or 30 inches in diameter. So you can tell that our money that they supposedly paid these people to spray didn't do the job they're supposed to have done. I don't know if y'all can see the pictures, but these are the pictures.
Why don't you, if you don't mind, bring them up and we'll let the commissioners.
These are the pictures of before that they sprayed. These pictures here is the result of what myself and my neighbor has done over the weekend. Working for about 8 hours. You can see in the background those trees that we haven't gotten to yet are still growing.
Okay. If you have any other comments, if you would, so the folks in the audience who will see this replay will be able to hear you.
So what would like to know is, where is all this money that they keep saying that they've spent? Why hasn't it showed results?
Well, I think that would be a question that you would need to ask Fish and Game because it's not a Daviess County project.
Not Daviess County.
Now, I would also say that certainly Senator Bowen and I have talked about this, and Senator, I don't expect you to comment because you probably haven't talked to him, but we can certainly ask Senator Bowen to check in and see what's going what's going on. I do recall them saying that they would spray, that they were going to spray a chemical that would kill the willows. If they sprayed in the 1st of September, I'm not sure that it's had time to do the things that it's.
It would take 2 weeks for us to see
Okay.
results.
I'm not sure that it's.
We've gone over 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm not sure that it's had the time that they would anticipate they would have for it to do the job, because they also said it would rot the roots down and they would end up being able to jerk them out.
It didn't rot anything down.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
what we cut, and when it's grown back within a month, that's when
Okay.
we cut it.
Senator, if you would not mind or wouldn't mind checking with Fish and Wildlife, and I'm sure the senator has your name and phone number where he could get in touch with you, or if you want to let me know. Yes, did you want to come on up if you have something to say?
I think your pictures are down here.
Yeah. We'll get them back to you.
Mr. Beam, I have been out there 3 or 4 times since then, and I can certainly feel your pain, and I'll call them tomorrow, because I've kept up with that, and every time I drive out, I'm hopeful that all that growth has turned brown, but I'm like you, it hasn't up to this point, so we'll call them tomorrow. We'll
Yep.
make them accountable for sure. I'm total support of getting that situation rectified, and trust me when I tell you that we'll stay on top of it.
Okay. Sir, if we need to keep you up here at the mic so that the folks can hear you.
My pictures, and you can see what me and just one neighbor has done over one weekend. We eliminated almost a quarter of an acre. That's just 2 of us. So Fish and Game, we could give it 4 or 5 people down here and use the same stuff that we've used and have it wiped out in a week's time.
Okay. Senator, I'd appreciate you keeping us informed. Thanks. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is James Thompson, and I was born and raised up there, Copper and Kingfisher Lake. I'm 73 years old, been there all my life. I was there before the Fish and Game. I purchased it from the state. I remember when Carpenter Lake was owned by Dr. Cannon. I remember Mr. Bowling owned Old Kingfisher and New Kingfisher, and I remember when it was a wonderful place to go and fish. People bring their families out there. I remember walking around them lakes when I was a kid and looking down that water and seeing them big bass spawning on the nest and bluegill spawning, and it ain't like that no more. It's horrible. But I didn't want to be here tonight. I was asked to come to represent the people, I guess because I've been there all my life. But my wife and I, Joyce, we've been there 44 years behind Kingfisher, and plus the years before that, I lived there. And Mr. Bowen, I want to remind you, you told the Fish and Game Wildlife, and we got it on tape, you told them you give them 2 more years, didn't you? You remember? If you don't, I'll remind you. And I know I'm a year and 9 months too early. But I want to tell you that we want to be nice about this, polite about this. But they've been very rude to us people out there. And we want to work with them. And they haven't been working with us. And I didn't want to come tonight. The people around Old Kingfisher, New Kingfisher asked me to come to represent them. And I'm here, don't want to be here. I don't want to be an agitator. But Mr. Bowen gave them 2 years. And we got it on tape. And they better do it. And if not, you know, the state's going to be involved. Because the state inherited that lake from Mr. Bowen. And the way that we see it, that lake was given to the state, providing that they would maintain it. So it's a two-party lawsuit's what it's gonna be. We don't wanna do this. It's gonna involve the Fish and Game Wildlife and the state because they're not doing their job.
Okay.
And I would like to, I like to say one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask Mr. Bourne, whenever you meet with the Fish and Game, next time you see them, or whenever Mr. Maryland you meet with them, I'd like to buy old Kingfisher and new Kingfisher. I'd like to buy it from them. Would they be willing to sell it?
I can't answer that.
Well, Mr. Bourne can. He can ask them. Would you do that for me? I'd like to buy it from them. Okay. I could make these people happy.
We will pass that. We will pass that
I'd like
on.
for you, Mr. Bourne,
Okay.
if you pass that on to them.
Okay.
Because I can make these people happy.
All right. Thank you.
You know, wait a minute. Before I go.
Okay.
Last night I was watching KET, and in Florida, the sinkholes. Did y'all see that?
Yep, I did.
Swallowing up these homes and swallowing up people. And these people are devastated. Well, these people up here are devastated. They used to walk out on their balconies at night or in the mornings early and drink a cup of coffee and sit there and watch the mallard ducks come in and the wood ducks come in, the geese come in, and muskrats swimming around. We've even got otters up there, you know, got pictures of them, and it's gone. One of the ladies up there mentioned, if you remember, she used to open her blinds and look out the window in the mornings, in the evenings. She pulls her blinds now because it's horrible. And there's people out there can do this and take care of this. Tony Lanham up at Nosfield said, I can turn that lake upside down, make it deep as you want it. You know, there's people out there can do it. But I would like to buy old Kingfisher, new Kingfisher.
Mr. Thompson, we will pass your comments along.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Any other public? You disappoint me. Next item.
Comments by Daviess Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Castlin.
Pass.
Commissioner Wathen.
Pass.
Commissioner Koger.
Pass.
I think everybody's passing. We have a Right to Life banquet that we have to be at in about 20 minutes. So thank everybody for coming. Appreciate all the comments tonight. If there's no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court, without exception, we're adjourned.
I'll take that.